Hello, welcome to Iggy's Toy Parade and Soldier Review. Once again, this is your host, Iggy. Hey guys, welcome back. I hope everyone's doing well. Today I'm going to show you some more Ultimate Soldier figures that are still boxed. I say still boxed because I found a whole bunch of loose items. It may be a little more difficult to present those to you because it's just a mess. You should see it. But, well, actually, you might just see it. So hang on and we'll find out what's going on. Okay, so what do we have here? This figure here, you'll notice immediately the packaging is quite different than these other figures that you see here. And it's an interesting, if not eclectic, collection that we have going on here. This figure, however, was made in 1999. And it's the second figure that I ever got in the Ultimate Soldier line. And I believe I bought it in March. Was it March of 1999? Let's check the journal. I think I marked the page this time. This is the journal where I keep track of things that I have been buying. All right, let's see. This is all Vietnam War era stuff, and that was all from 1998. And then the first Ultimate Soldier things I got were that were not Vietnam. Here it is, German infantrymen boxed, 9/11/99. So when I said March, that refers to the World War II weapons set, which is the first item they released in the World War II series. And once the World War II things came out, that was the end of this for me. And I think I sold off all of this at the garage sale that I had. And also, I may have sold something at the flea market. But I'm pretty sure it's all gone now. So this is the second figure I got. The first one, I don't see it now. Oh no, this one here. Wait a minute. Yeah, this one here my mom bought for me. I had taken her out to lunch and to the mall, and I said, "Oh, Mom, can we duck into this toy store?" And I think it was KB Toys at the Oaks Mall, and of course that's long gone now. And the Oaks Mall has been turned into an open air mall. The building where I used to work is gone. I worked at a store called May Company, and it felt really weird when I saw that that was torn out. They had a really cool little restaurant on the ground floor called Gahooli's, and it was sort of an Irish styled restaurant. I don't know what Irish restaurants look like, guys, but that's what it was pretending to be. And it actually had a real fireplace, which was kind of cool. But anyway, I always swore that one day I was going to bring a date there, and I actually did, but she wasn't very impressed with me. None of them were, so the less said about that, the better. Anyway, it was a cozy little restaurant, and I enjoyed it. I have a very happy memory of my parents surprising me at work, and they took me to that restaurant. And it was raining outdoors, and my parents surprised me, and it was the Christmas season. And that's a really fun memory for me, seeing my mom and dad at lunchtime. How did I get into that? Oh, my mom got me the Fallschirmjäger. So the first one I bought was this one here. And that was on January 9th, 2000. No, I take that back, guys. It's a good thing I write this stuff down. This is the one that my mom bought me on 9/11/99. But the first set that I ever bought was an 82nd Airborne boxed figure. I haven't come across that, so I'm guessing I took it out of the box. But that was in August. Well, look at that, guys. 24 years ago. Wow. Time has flown by, hasn't it? You know what? Let's take a look at what was the last thing I ever bought. That would be interesting, because that would be sort of like the end of an era, not error. Let's see. The last item I bought was an Africa Corps figure, and he was carded. And the carded figures were a large bubble card, as opposed to being in a box. And it didn't come with all the gear that the boxed figures came with. It would come with a helmet and a weapon, but no, pack or canteen or cartridge belt, all those kinds of things. Okay, so let's take a look at this figure, since it was the first one I got in 24 years ago. It's a pity these are no longer available in stores, but it's better for me financially that they're not. So he's a pretty cool figure. It was so exciting when I first saw this on the shelf, because I was used to the G.I. Joe uniform, which has an extremely strong attachment for me due to nostalgia. It was something that I wanted when I was a kid. Oh, look, his harness broke. I guess from being attached for so long, and it finally broke off. Another casualty of being in storage for so long. Although I do notice that these box figures do a lot better in storage than the loose ones. Although you can see even in storage, it's still going to break. The one thing that I didn't like about the character, look at that guy. He looks like a zombie. If you don't look at his eyes, there you go. He looks pretty good. But for some reason, they had a hard time rendering the eyes. And the hair is like yellow. It's really doesn't look realistic. But anyway. So look at all the cool stuff he comes with. Got the E-tool, M24 grenade. He's got the bayonet for the... Wait a minute. Why does he have a bayonet when he doesn't have a rifle? Or is that just a knife? It looks like a bayonet. It's really long. Huh. Well, I guess you could... Maybe the MP... I've never seen an MP40 with a bayonet attached to it, but maybe that is possible. I don't know. Okay, let's look at the next one. And the next one up, we'll take a look at the Panzer Commander. He's a pretty cool figure. And it feels like there's dried up rat pee on this, so I'll have to wash my hands after this. The box is concave a little bit because of being in storage. It got crushed. However, the contents are fine. He's got a P-dot camo trousers. I have to avoid saying pants because I do have some English subscribers, and pants for them means underwear. So it's kind of, must be strange for them to hear some American guy talking about a tank commander's underwear. He's got a crusher cap. He's wearing the leather coat, although this is not actual real leather, of course. It's a faux leather material, but that's pretty cool, I thought. And there's the ubiquitous MP40. He's got the radio set so he can communicate with other tanks and with the crew of the tank. There's his coffee cup, binoculars. So this is a nice map case. It's a pretty cool set. And does he have the weird eye? Well, they narrowed his eyes somewhat, but he's got a pretty cool looking face. I like the hair on this one. The eyes are still somewhat of a problem. It's probably difficult to. This one came out in 2001. Let's take a look at the back of the box, see what was going on back then. You know, if you're into modern stuff, this is pretty cool. The old Bradley fighting vehicle. I think they replaced the Bradleys recently, didn't they? Someone who might have just gotten out of the service or is still in might be able to say whether or not that's true. But this was a step up from the personnel carriers that we had when I was in the Army. I got to sit in the driver's compartment of one, and I was going to drive it, and it went 1 foot and broke down. And my friend who was in the motor pool said, "Oh, crap, now I got to stay up all night to fix this thing." So I didn't actually really get to drive it because it broke down immediately. It's a good thing we weren't on alert. I've showed you this motorcycle. I got that for my birthday back in the day in 2002. And here's a Kugelsitzwagen. And there's our commander with his hat on. So a cool figure. Let's move on. Now our next one is not Sean Connery, but as you can see here, he's got Sean Connery's nose and mustache. Looks a lot like him from Sean Connery was in A Bridge Too Far. In fact, the parts with Anthony Hopkins and Sean Connery were the best parts of that movie, I thought. I thought Ryan O'Neal was not very good in the movie, and who else was in that on the American side? Robert Redford. I think he got paid like a couple $1,000,000, and he was only in the movie for a few minutes. But anyway, the movie is well worth seeing when you see the British parts. The American parts are kind of dull, and Americans aren't very good actors, at least the ones in the movie. But that could be the director's fault too, you know. But I'm not here to review a movie. I'm here to show you this figure. And I can't remember, but I think I bought a few of these. They also had these on the bubble card. And, of course, he came with a Sten gun and his helmet and uniform and everything. But he just didn't have well, I'll show it to you. Good God. Why am I talking about the box? See here, look at all this cool stuff. Of course, they were called the Red Devils because they have these red berries, or berets as we call them. I like the British para helmet too, and also the Fallschirmjäger. And he doesn't quite look so much like Sean Connery in this. Let's flip this up so you can see it better. But he's got a jump smock on. This is one of those fancy pants Sten guns because he's got a wood stock. Okay, guys, that is our Red Devil. And of course, they give a little backstory to it over here. Talks about Arnhem. It says 10,000 Red Devils parachuted into Arnhem and only 3,000 made it back to Allied lines. Anyway, that part of A Bridge Too Far I recommend to you. I wish I could get like an edited version of the film where they just show the British parts fighting the Germans. I think what they did was similar to how they filmed The Longest Day. Now, if you watch The Longest Day, I'm giving you opinions here. So, of course, I'm not being entirely objective because of my own bias and prejudices. But I think that The Longest Day, the best part of that film was done by the French when it shows them attacking the casino. And then after that, I would say the best parts of I think the worst parts were the American. I don't know why. I just don't think the American parts of the film were all that good. It's really weird that they picked John Wayne to play General Gavin because he was a really young guy and John Wayne was like 60 years old or something when he made that movie. But anyway, there's our British paratrooper. So next up is our Toys R Us. You can see how much I paid for it there, $29.99. And this was our U.S. Navy Corpsman. And I did a background on the Navy Corpsman because G.I. Joe Hasbro released a medic under the Marine banner. You know, it was carded with the Marines, and the Marines never had medics. They had Navy Corpsmen. So they should have released the medic set under the Navy or the Marines. Either one of those would have been okay. Let's take a look at what we have here. He looks Asian American, doesn't he? Okay. Let's take a look here, guys. Now you can see that his uniform is identical to the jungle fighter that I showed you before. And it's a good quality cloth. And it's got a camo helmet. This is really cool because it comes with this stretcher. And the gear that he's carrying is much, much better than the G.I. Joe medic set. However, I do not compare the two because it's hard to compete with nostalgia. And I love my Marine G.I. Joe medic set, even if it is incorrect. I still love it. But I do like this too. I mean, I think this is really good. Did an excellent job with this. He's got his medical bag. You guys are probably familiar with what was the name of the movie? Heartbreak Ridge? Was that the name of it? That was pretty good. I think it was directed by Mel Gibson. This is a pretty cool illustration over here. Nicely done. Okay, so this is our uh, Navy corpsman. My dad trained to be a medic. Well, originally he tried to join the Army Air Corps. Uh, I think he got rejected because of his. No, he was accepted, but he didn't know it, so he got married. And after he got married, he was disqualified from being in the Army Air Corps. Although I think later they didn't have that restriction. In the beginning, they did. And my dad then was going to be a medic, and he trained to be a medic. And I think it was like a couple days, maybe even just a day before he was to ship out for Africa. They came by and said, "Anyone here an accountant?" And my dad had graduated from the University of Wisconsin as an accountant from the accounting program, and he raised his hand, and the rest of the war he was auditing defense contracts. That's why Iggy's here. Papa didn't get shot at, although it was dangerous for medics, or rather corpsmen, in the Pacific compared to medics in Europe, because the Germans were more respectful of um, medical personnel than they were in the Pacific. In the Pacific, they just shot them because they figured, well, it was bad for morale to hear soldiers screaming for help, uh, which often during the night you would hear men that had been wounded in no man's land screaming for help. And any medic who or corpsman who tried to save them would be shot outright. So I got a couple of those. I think my rationale for buying a couple of them is because he's got the stretcher. And I thought, well, I can have the two of them carrying a wounded guy when I have it on the shelf for display. Now, it's funny, they've got this artwork on here that shows that the box has been shot up, but this box has really been messed up from being in storage. It's all warped. I can tell by the feel of it that it's got dried up rat pee on it. So I'm going to have to sanitize my hands. But this figure was on the top of the box and was being pressed against the top of the box. Was some loose items, and it warped this pretty bad. I'll show what I mean. See that? It's pretty warped. But this one is a really cool figure, guys. I think you'll like this one a lot. This one is from 2000. And I think he's wearing Italian camouflage trousers with an SS Smog. And he's got a weird, he looks weird. I'm sorry, but a lot of the head sculpts for Ultimate Soldier I didn't think were very good. But I do like the uniform on this guy. And of course, I love his equipment. He's got an MG34 instead of a 42. He's got, it looks like an ammunition box. There would have been two guys, because they have one guy that carries a couple ammunition boxes. The MG34 could fire about 250 rounds, and then they would have to change the barrel because it would start to overheat. But, they could throw the barrel in the snow or dip it in water or whatever to cool it off. But it was real easy to change the barrel, so it didn't take them long to do that. So I really like the uniform on him. I might change the head sculpt for a BBI head or something. I think BBI sculpts are really top notch. But overall, I like this figure quite well. And I would give it a strong B plus. I just don't care for the head sculpt too much. I'll show it to you again. All right, guys. Let's close this up. Is there any damage on the back? No, it seems to be okay. No, I take it back. That's messed up. Very cool. So he's got the SS Smog Italian trousers. And it shows his equipment very nicely. He looks better in this picture. I wonder, is that the same guy? You know, I didn't notice this, but he has SS collar tabs. This figure, I think, is supposed to, even though it's got these Battle of the Bulge photograph here, he's supposed to be in the Normandy campaign. Okay, guys, let's close this guy up. So, as a quick review, this is the second figure I ever got back in August of 1999. So this is just made it over 24 years ago. This is one of the last ones I ever bought. Let me check my book. I think that is one of the last. Well, the last ones I got were all carded. They were. Is this my? Is this it? No, this is. I guess I didn't leave the marker in there still. I don't know. Is that focused? I can't see it at all. Oh, well. It doesn't matter. All right, guys. Thanks for coming along. I'm sorry that this is so rushed. I was trying to prevent myself from going to McDonald's. My stomach is upset. It's rather large. Which looks good with my Santa Claus beard, but it's really murder when I try and bend over to pick something up and I go, "Ugh." Everyone turns around and looks at me like, what the hell? But anyway, I can't drive in the dark, so I figure if I waited till dark, it would keep me from going there. Anyway, that's a hell of a way to diet, but what am I going to say? So there we have it. I'm going to make another video right after this with 6 more figures that I found last, when was it, last Thursday or Friday? I can't remember. And I have a bunch of loose stuff to share with you, but I'm not sure if I'm going to do that. It may not be very compelling video to see a bunch of junk and baggies, so I'm not sure about that. At any rate, that takes care of this section. And I showed you these the other day. Okay, so that's it for me, Iggy. Thank you for getting Iggy with it. And for those of you who have enlisted in the Iggy Army, I want to thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. It's nice to know that I'm not well, I am talking to myself, but you know what I mean. That there's someone out there that shares my interests and love of these things. Although I notice you guys don't care for the 1/6 scale that I present as much as you do the 1/32 scale. And the most views I ever got is when I showed you some vintage Airfix 172 figures. And I think I got like 10,500 views, which is amazing. Um, gosh, I would be doing really good if those 10,000 had subscribed, but they probably saw that I didn't have 172 exclusively, that I had a lot of different things. So that's probably why they did. Well, or maybe what I was saying was obnoxious, or Iggy's famous for that too. So anyway, I want to thank you. It's been a while. Let's go back to Roy's Ranch and have a picnic, and we can say hello to Trigger and to Bullet. And you know that petting a dog is good for your blood pressure. So since I have high blood pressure, I think I want to see Trigger and give him a scratch between the ears. They seem to like that, or under the chin. They like that. Heck, I would like it if a girl scratched my head and under my chin. Although it's hard to find my chin because I have a lot of chin spinach. Anyway, what do you think? Do you guys want apple pie? Or do you want to try something more international like Apfelstrudel? I like that too. Um, at any rate, I'll see you soon. I'm going to make another video tonight if I can, okay? Bye, guys.